G'day viewers. Well, exciting news in Australia. We have our first Rango Prime Minister. Oh, and she's a woman. First redhead. Ooh, Eric Cartman must be quaking in his boots. It's happening. They are taking over. But I've already had a lot of messages from international viewers asking me about this. So before I explain how we changed the head of the government, I'll explain a little bit about the style of the government. You see, we don't have a presidential system. We have a Westminster-style parliamentary system, so you don't vote for the head of the government. You vote for your local representative, and all the votes get tallied up, and everyone who wins goes off to Canberra, and the party with the most seats in the lower house of parliament, or who can form a coalition, they get to form a government, and the person they elect internally as the leader of their party or coalition, that person becomes the Prime Minister. So we don't vote for the Prime Minister, we vote for our local person. Majority party gets to choose who is Prime Minister. Although we always know going into an election who the head of each party is, so we know who will become Prime Minister if that party wins. And while we don't vote for Prime Minister, certainly a lot of people know, if I vote for this party, Dingus there will be in charge, and I don't really want that, so I'll vote against them, or I do want that, so I'll vote for them. So we don't vote directly for the leader of the party, although people always have their preferred Prime Minister in mind when they're casting their vote. So, to the current story. Now, the current Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, who, if you look back in my video catalogue, you will see I've expressed my dissatisfaction with a couple of times, in slightly strong terms. So there were some aspects of his government that I seriously disagreed with, but as I was always careful to point out, the alternative, the Liberal National Coalition, led currently by Tony Abbott, well, you'd sooner trust a syphilitic monkey with a crack habit than you would Tony Abbott. And in fact, I would have trouble telling the difference between a syphilitic monkey with a crack habit and Tony Abbott. But there was stuff about Rudd, and particularly with his policies towards the internet, that were just shit, and I really did not like. Now, what's been happening locally the last couple of weeks, even months, has been just a barrage of negativity towards him. And I think he earned a whole bunch of it by really showing no spine, showing no commitment. Some of it was completely unfair, like some fucking wankers who are rewriting recent history at the moment. You know, the global financial crisis hardly touched Australia. The government spending to cushion us worked. Without that, we would have had probably an extra 500,000 people unemployed and a lot of businesses shut down. But because of the government spending, we hardly felt anything. Seriously, if you're in a part of the world where you're hurting, I feel sorry for you, but we hardly felt anything. And there are a bunch of fuckwits in the media lately talking about, oh, he did the wrong thing. He fucking saved us, you wanker. If John Howard had won the last election and the Conservatives were in power when the global financial crisis hit, they would not have lifted a fucking finger to save ordinary people. They would have protected all their business mates and just let us fucking die, and they would have skull-fucked our corpses in the street. Fuck people who say the Labor government did the wrong thing about the global financial crisis. Fuck them. But back to our new PM, Welsh-born Julia Gillard. So, yay Wales, you raised someone who became Prime Minister of Australia. So she was Rudd's deputy, and for a while people had been saying she'd be a more popular choice than Rudd, but she steadfastly said, no, not interested, no, I'm not going to challenge. And she meant it. But this constant media barrage for the last couple of months seemed to have been getting to Ruddy, and what it turns out, one of his main behind-the-scenes guys had spent time talking to everyone in the party going, would you really back her? You don't really want to back her, do you? Basically undermining her because he felt insecure because there's constant barrage. But he didn't need to feel insecure because she was loyal to him. But when it came out in the media that he was white-anting her behind the scenes, she apparently went, yeah, fuck that. And she talked to the power guys and said, seriously, you reckon you can back me? I'll fucking do it. I'm not taking this shit. And they went behind the scenes and seriously, this was insanely fast. I don't think anything like this has ever happened in Australian politics. In the space of 24 hours, the shit hit the fan for Rudd, and all the numbers guys behind the scenes were pushing around, and they came back to Gillard and said, yeah, you've got the numbers. And so she went, right, fine. And she called, what, known as a leadership spill, saying to Rudd she wanted to challenge him for the leadership. There was going to be an official vote on that at 9 o'clock this morning, our time, but by that stage it was inevitable and everyone went to Rudd and said, you'll lose if it goes to a vote. So Rudd actually stepped down rather than have a rather embarrassing vote. Very credible speech. I'll link to a bunch of news stories so you can read about it if you're interested. He did it to himself. To me, not even his policies. This story about him fucking around with Gillard is true. He'd gone way too far. He'd gone off the deep end. Look, he's been known for being a bit power mad, dismissive of other people, a control freak, and he doesn't sleep enough, which makes him cranky. I'm not joking there. Apparently, he only sleeps a couple of hours a night, and it does make him cranky. And he seems to have basically just gone off the deep end in screwing over someone who was loyal to him. So he deserved it. So congratulations to Julia Gillard, and in what I think is a nice move, she's not only our first female Prime Minister, not only our first Ranger Prime Minister, she's our first living in sin Prime Minister. She's not married, but she lives with a partner who's male, just in case anyone's going, oh, have you got a dyke Prime Minister? No, she's got a male partner, but she's living in sin. Awesome! Speaking as someone who lives in sin, someone representing me, yay! But what was particularly disingenuous is syphilitic monkey Tony Abbott, who I mentioned before, saying how that was a terrible way to treat a Prime Minister. You lying fucking piece of shit would say anything, tell any lie to get elected. This is just another example. This guy's been hacking on Rudd forever, and when someone actually dumps him, he says, that was unfair. You know who it was unfair to? The Liberal Party, because they had the sniff of victory because they'd undermined Rudd so effectively he was becoming very unpopular, but now he's gone. So while he was getting shat on recently, all the Liberals are going, ha ha, we're winning, we're winning. No, too far, don't dump him, oh God! And it just blew up in their face. They were too effective with undermining him, and he got the arse. And Gillard will be way more popular, and she will fucking smash the Liberals. Ha! In fact, just for a laugh, we could start the gaff counter going now. Tony Abbott's already managed to alienate about 75% of the female population of Australia. It's a very short time until he'll alienate 100%. Him and the other morons in his party who, you know, really don't understand how women feel about various things. I think we can count the days till they say something about her marital status, negative judgment about her appearance. They'll definitely, one of these idiots, probably Barnaby Joyce, will say something about that time of the month. I will lay money now. We could even run a bet. Will there be one complete gaffe? Will there be 2? Will there be 10? Will there be 20? But they will do it. They will just say the dumbest shit imaginable and alienate every woman in the country because they can't help themselves. So, yeah, in our little world in Australia, that was actually quite exciting. We've never seen anything quite like it. And in all honesty, I do prefer Julia Gillard to Kevin Rudd. And if she changes who all her ministers are, if she gives Stephen Conroy, minister responsible for fucking up the internet, if she gives him the arse, she will be my favourite ever. I live in hope. Catch you later.